As a kid, I had many different consoles, starting with the ones that my uncle gave me, like the Sega Mega Drive, or one of my favorites, the N64. And then there were the ones that my mom bought for me over the years, one of which I have very fond memories of, the original PlayStation. Now, my games collection was pretty weird back then, since it was kind of a mixture of games that we went to a store for and actually bought, and ones that were kind of lying around, probably from my uncle or something. And within all these different PlayStation games, I remember something specifically. A black case with no cover whatsoever, and in it, a CD with a name, Metal Gear Solid. Obviously, I was way too young to play the series back then, and I was absolutely terrible at the game, but none of that mattered. Neither am I going to be traumatized by seeing these red pixels on the screen, nor did I care if I understood it. I never remember myself being frustrated at games as a kid. I was so carefree and experimented as much as I could, running through the levels with no clue what to do, but it was just so much fun. And after weeks of playing, I eventually ended up fighting the various bosses like Psycho Mantis. I actually got pretty far until I had to insert disc 2. What disc 2? There was only one in the box. And that's where my Metal Gear Solid adventure ended back in the day. I booted it up every now and then to replay the parts that I had available, but I could never finish it. To this day, I still haven't caught up on it, but I will eventually. Over the years, I would reignite my love for the first game and play its sequels, Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3. But since I never owned a PS3, I could never play Metal Gear Solid 4. It still saddens me that none of these games are available on PC, but at least we still have emulators. When Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain was announced and set to come out on PC, I was absolutely amazed by its visuals and overall presentation. I loved the setting and the way Kojima told stories, so this was going to be a banger of a game. And you know what? It absolutely was. Even with all of the controversy regarding the splitting of Kojima and Konami, and an entire part of the game being cut, it was still an amazing experience. One that I'm currently replaying and actually made video guides for on my old channel back in 2015. Kojima has a way of telling stories and setting a mood that I haven't seen in any other game. The mixture of a realistic, often brutal topic and some over-the-top supernatural action creates a fresh experience that you don't get very often. Granted, it's not for everybody, but what is? I will never forget the 1 hour long intro mission where you try to escape a hospital. It's an immediate catch that sets the tone for the rest of the story and introduces very important characters. Although it is entirely linear to show you the ropes of sneaking, I can replay it many times, and I did. The entire team at Kojima Productions is so good at creating these in-game cinematics and filling them with small details that they are worth rewatching multiple times. And the constant rise in tension resulting in escalating situations like a burning whale flying through the air to eat a helicopter makes the story so much fun to play. Now, this is not a Metal Gear Solid 5 review, but since I played it the most and also rather recently, it's obviously stuck in my head. Kind of like the horn you have in-game. With every new game release of the franchise, you could see and feel the improvements and changes that were made. But even the first game already allowed creativity and featured some interesting mechanics and Easter eggs that I believe we haven't seen since then. One of the big ones obviously being the fight against Psycho Mantis, where you have to physically change the input slot of your controller so that he quote-unquote can't reach your mind anymore. This was not only unexpected, but also made sense within the universe, with Metal Gear breaking the fourth wall on a regular basis. Until now, Kojima Productions has not lost their ways, and Death Stranding looks like a very interesting concept for a game that I'm really looking forward to play. Really gotta buy that one. With 2 other games reportedly being in development right now. But since my deep involvement in this franchise only began when Metal Gear Solid 5 was released, I was sad to hear that there might not be another Metal Gear game in the future. We don't talk about Metal Gear Survive. Yikes. Especially with Konami's shifted focus towards mobile games and pachinko machines, and the splitting of Kojima, it seems unlikely that we will get another main entry game that's going to have the same spirit and soul as its predecessors. If we get one at all. Right now, there's nothing announced. Even the movie adaptation is kind of sitting in the limbo of brainstorming. At least we can still hope for some Resident Evil-like remakes of the original games, which I would be totally down for. The reason I miss Metal Gear so much is because, kind of like the Hitman franchise, there's nothing else quite like it, with the setting and gameplay being quite unique to it. Getting remasters or even entire remakes of the older Metal Gears would be amazing. It could bring in a new audience and reignite the love and engagement for this franchise. But since neither PC ports nor any remasters are in sight so far, and we have no announcements of any new Metal Gear title, we have to live with what we got and utilize emulation for older titles in the series. A couple of months ago, Digital Foundry made a video about the state of PlayStation 3 emulation, specifically for MGS4, and the results were surprisingly good. It's absolutely in a playable state, especially if you take the frame drops that the original PS3 version had into account. Frames still drop in high density areas, but are not nearly as severe, with a much higher overall frame rate and resolution. But emulation is a topic that I want to tackle another day. I just hope that in the near future we will see or hear something about this fantastic franchise and experience new adventures, even if it might not be the same without Kojima. But only time will tell. For now, I'll be replaying Metal Gear Solid 5 and test the limitations of emulation. If you enjoyed this video, consider joining my Discord server, link is in the description. I wish you all a wonderful day, and hope to see you next time. Take care.